The next morning, I go back to my old place to fetch my things and pack. I arrive back at Hogwarts, and just as I step outside my door, I almost bump into Dumbledore.
Ah, just the one I was looking for. I hope you managed to arrange everything.
Yes, thank you. I just got back, and according to this schedule, there is a potion class this afternoon.
Yes, normally, but I cancelled those for today. You just arrived and I rather like you to be prepared. So, if you would be so kind, I would like you to make some lesson plans for the coming semester. And tomorrow you can start your classes. The students will survive another day without a potion class, although Umbridge was furious.
All right, I will. I hand the plans to you when they're done. He gives me a nod and smile, then leaves. So, instead of facing the pink storm, I sit in my new office, hunched over my desk. My focus is split between potion reports, scattered notes, and a small box that plays music. The music plays faintly through my headphones while I write potion recipes and experiments for my upcoming classes, and I hum along under my breath. The rhythm is settling my thoughts. I have set up a few bottles with liquids that function as a battery for the music box, some combination of alchemistic crafts and potion concoctions. It is not ideal, but it works, since there is no electricity in this place. Every so often, I catch the portrait in the corner tapping its frame with the beat. It glances at me like it's about to scold me for existing. I ignore it. Portraits have always been nosy. There was one in the potion shop I used to work at. That one never shut up either. Hours pass in blissful peace and music, broken only by the rustling of parchment under my fingers. My notes are meticulous. Every potion variant and experimental improvement is logged and cross-referenced. It's peaceful here. A little sanctuary where I can think. But then, that prickle, that gut feeling of being watched, it crawls up my spine like a whisper. I dismiss it at first. This castle is old and full of ghosts after all. Still, it lingers. A sharp knock cuts through my music, and before I can even say, "Come in," the door swings open with unnecessary force. "Well, Professor Snape, do come in." He is already inside, a towering shadow of black robes and disdain, and his pale face is sharpened by the dim candlelight. The white cuff of his sleeve peeks out from his robes. He looks like he could drain the life out of this room with a glance.
There you are, sitting there with a stack of papers, writing away, like you own this office already. 4.5 hours of this, humming, tapping, and moving like you're feeling. Comfortable here. Too comfortable. I glare at the music box. That thing should be dead in this castle, yet it hums softly as if it's mocking me. You're not any ordinary professor, so much is clear already. And what's that? A wine glass? Wine? In the middle of the afternoon? No wonder you're so cheery. What are you doing?
I raise an eyebrow. Friendly, this one. His gaze flicks to my music box. The suspicion is narrowing his eyes as they slide toward my wine glass, which is faintly glowing in the candlelight. Working on potion documentation and preparing lessons.
The music. I meant the music, not the glowing glass with wine. Not yet. You're deflecting, cleverly too. But the hums and tapping, you're distracted and careless. Careless is dangerous. And those bottles? Some alchemistic concoctions?
Oh, that. It's just in my ears. These are headphones. I am not bothering anyone with it.
I heard you humming.
Then you must have good ears. He steps closer, too close. That dark presence is almost intimidating. He must have stood with his ear to the door if he heard me humming, but I say nothing. I sit back in my chair, deliberately calm, and refusing to give him even a flicker of reaction. Let him come. I'm not scared of him.
And drinking before dinner? It glows. That is not ordinary wine. You drink it as though it were nothing, daring me to comment. What are you hiding? What game are you playing?
There it is, the jab, neat as a dagger point. He wants me to justify myself and flinch, but I won't. I lift my head to meet his gaze. That is iced tea.
Iced tea? Ridiculous. Who drinks iced tea from a wine glass? You're mocking me, surely. Unless...
His eyebrow arches in disbelief. The disbelief of a man who is used to have the upper hand, who doesn't quite know what to make of my defiance.
In a wine glass?
Yes, in a wine glass. I cross my arms, defensive but calm. I don't drink alcohol. The glass was a gift. Let him stew on that. The disdain is still lingering in his eyes, but there's something else flickering behind it. Curiosity, maybe. Or respect? Are you always this welcoming to new colleagues?
Interesting, you bite back. You don't seem intimidated, or you're very good at pretending not to be.
He doesn't reply. Instead, he lingers, watching and assessing. I turn uninterested back to my papers, and my fingers are gliding across the lines as though he isn't standing there, like a shadow draped in black. If you're going to stand there and watch, at least sit down. You're distracting me.
Your audacity is staggering. To command me even lightly. Yet, my body moves before my pride can protest, and I sit down smoothly across from the desk. Your lips twitch into a smirk. It's fleeting but not missed. You seem to enjoy this provocation disguised as calm.
He raises a brow, but surprisingly, he sits down. I wasn't expecting that. My lips twitch into a small, private smirk as I return to my work. I hum along to my music, deliberately ignoring him now. The clock ticks towards dinner time. He says nothing, but I feel his gaze on me, heavy and relentless. It's almost a challenge. He stands suddenly, moving towards my shelves. I hear the faint clink of glass as he examines a row of potion jars. His fingers are brushing labels and stopping on a tiny corked vial.
My fingers trail across the neat rows of jars. Each label is immaculate, as if you carved the letters with intention. The organization is flawless. And this, could it be? I stretch my hand towards a corked vial, filled with transparent scales.
I rise slowly and stand beside the shelves as I see the curiosity flickering in his eyes. But I don't stop him. Not until he lifts the corked vial. Careful. I reach and pluck it gently from his hand before he can even think of opening it. Our eyes meet, his dark and sharp, mine calm and unyielding.
That look, infuriating, confident. I am sure you're hiding something, I know it. And yet, the way you handle that vial, with steady hands and precise movements, not many could pull that off, or would dare to pluck it from my hands like you did. Is that?
I nod slowly and remove the cork and tip the vial. A delicate, leaf-shaped scale slides into my palm. It gleams with iridescent light and is shifting colours with every flicker of the candles. ice dragon scales.
That is exquisitely rare and dangerous. Few would dare touch such material, let alone keep it so casually on a shelf.
So he knows quantity when he sees it. Good. Let him wonder how I came by them. Let him stew in his suspicion. He came here to intimidate me. Instead, he's intrigued. Yes, very rare.
Rare indeed, and illegal to harvest. Tell me, Professor, how does a potion shop employee from Greenwood come to possess something like this?
I slide the scale back into its vial, corking it with deliberate care. I set the vial back in its exact spot on the shelf, aligning it perfectly with the others. Then I turn to him, and my eyes lock with his. Experience, Professor Snape, and a few connections. I'm not explaining myself further, and he knows it.
Deflection. Bold. You're hiding more than just your sources, and you're skilled enough not to flinch when challenged. I expected arrogance or nervous chatter from someone like you, but you just give a calm and controlled answer. Infuriatingly so. Most colleagues bore me. They try to impress, or they try to appease. You do neither.
He studies me as his arms are folding over his chest like a raven that is settling its wings. Are we done here, Professor? Or would you like to search my drawers too? Perhaps interrogate my furniture? His lip twitches, almost a smirk, though it disappears before I can be sure.
It's nearly dinner time.
There's something deliberate about the way he says it, like it's not quite a suggestion. I arch a brow. Are you inviting me to walk with you?
She's mocking me. Most wouldn't dare. But I'm curious how far you'll take this little performance. I am merely suggesting punctuality.
He turns sharply, and his robes are swirling behind him like smoke. I smirk to myself and grab my wand, sliding it into my sleeve after turning off my music box. The soft click echoes in the office as I follow him out. He doesn't look back to see if I'm coming. The hallways are dim, and the portraits whisper faintly as we pass. His stride is long and purposeful, but I match it without effort. He doesn't slow down for me, doesn't hold a door or wait. He walks as if the castle itself parts for him. He probably expects me to trail behind like a nervous first year. Instead, I walk right at his side. I glance at him briefly. His face is a mask of indifference, but his eyes, dark and calculating, flick to me once. Just once.
You keep pace. Most struggle to keep up. You're not intimidated, but not indifferent either. That calmness is almost unnatural. We pass a suit of armor that turns its head to watch you. My gaze flicks to your profile. I tell myself it's irrelevant. Beauty is irrelevant. Dangerous, even. It is a distraction I've long since trained myself to ignore. And yet, there's something in the quiet confidence of your steps, in the way you don't shrink beneath my stare, that unsettles me more than I'd admit aloud. I keep my eyes forward, but the awareness of your presence, of the warmth that you carry beside me, refuses to fade.
Do you always patrol the castle like this? Or is this a special occasion?
Perhaps I enjoy watching over my territory.
Territory, of course. He acts like this castle is his personal domain. Maybe it is, in a way. We descend a staircase, and the flickering torches are casting long shadows. The scent of old stone and candle wax fills the air. You are very suspicious of me, Professor Snape. He glances at me briefly, with a dark stare that is sharp enough to cut my voice off.
Shouldn't I be? You appear out of nowhere with impressive credentials, rare ingredients and technology that shouldn't even function here. Forgive me if I'm thorough.
Thorough. That's one word for it. I would say obsessive, maybe, or relentless. I should be irritated, but instead I feel awake, challenged even. We reach the great doors of the great hall. He stops, turning to face me fully for the first time since leaving my office.
Just stay out of trouble.
I raise an eyebrow, and a slow smile is tugging at my lips. And here I was, planning on hexing half the staff tonight. His lips twitch again. He doesn't laugh. Of course he doesn't. But I catch the faintest spark of amusement in his eyes before he sweeps into the great hall. His robes are trailing dramatically behind him. Interesting man. Infuriating, but interesting. I follow him in, straight-backed and composed, ignoring the curious stares from the students that are already seated. The great hall glows with candlelight, the long tables are lined with steaming platters, laughter and chatter. Severus doesn't wait for me. He strides straight to his seat at the staff table. I take mine without hesitation. McGonagall gives me a sympathetic nod as I sit beside her.
Good evening. Brace yourself. Umbridge will be seated with us tonight.
Wonderful. The pink vulture herself. I catch sight of her, waddling into the great hall. Her heels are clicking like a death knell on the stone floor. She waddles towards her seat, and, of course, her beady eyes lock on me the moment she is close, and her lips are pinched into a toad-like smile. She clears her throat pointedly. It's a grating sound that is meant to command attention. I ignore her, and deliberately scooping pasta on my plate.
And what, pray tell, do you think you're wearing? I must say, your attire is quite unprofessional for a Hogwarts staff member.
I blink at her once, deadpan, then lean back in my chair, deliberately unbothered, and raising one brow in polite confusion as I glance down at myself. My dress is modest, an elegant deep blue with a soft V neckline. The sleeves are fitted but refined, and the hem is brushing the floor. The silk catches the candlelight like water. It is mesmerizing, shimmering, but it's hardly scandalous. It's just a normal dress, unless you prefer I wear nothing.
My lips twitch before I can stop them. The faintest smirk is tugging at the corner of my mouth. Insolent, reckless woman. And yet, Merlin, help me. It amuses me. Do you have any idea how dangerous it is to bait Umbridge like this? Still, the image that your retort sparks is hardly unwelcome. I should not indulge it, but my mind is less obedient than my face. Remus coughs awkwardly and his cheeks are turning to a shade of red that nearly matches the Gryffindor banners. His hand fumbles with the teacup in front of him, as though that fragile piece of porcelain can save him from the remark. Minerva looks like she chocked on her tea.
Honestly.
Minerva's sharp intake of breath sounds like the snap of a whip. I swear she looks at me as if I've just kicked a cat across the table. Dumbledore's giggling chuckle escapes him, low, warm, and annoyingly amused. His blue eyes twinkle, because of course they do. He's enjoying this far too much. My gaze flicks sideways, catching Severus's smirk. I know exactly what it means. What he is probably imagining now. Smug and dark-eyed, in a way that makes me want to throw my goblet at his head. Instead, I give him the faintest look of disdain. My lips are curling as though to say, "Don't even dare? Umbridge's lips purse tightly, and her eyes rake over me, slow and full of judgment.
That dress is far too revealing. A simple robe would suffice. You're setting a dangerous example for the students.
Revealing? There isn't an inch of cleavage on display, and the dress skims rather than clings. This is elegance, not seduction. But of course, in Umbridge's world, beauty is a threat, if she isn't holding it. She doesn't want standards. She wants control. Still, I don't need a scene on my first week. Not yet. So I swallow my defiance down. I'll make sure to wear something simpler tomorrow then. Her eyes narrow, glimmering with that self-satisfaction at what she thinks is submission.
See that you do. We must maintain standards of propriety in this school.
I tear my attention back to Umbridge, who is puffing herself up like an overfed toad. She launches into a pompous speech about proper teaching methods and discipline. I barely listen.
And, of course, the Ministry finds it quite unacceptable that so many of you insist on entertaining such independent approaches in your classrooms.
I fold my arms and my eyes are gliding over the table. Her voice grates and my smirk fades back into neutrality, though the echo of your retort still lingers. You think yourself clever, do you? Reckless is more like it. I should chastise you for that insolence, but perhaps later. For now, let the toad croak. Pathetic. Umbridge thrives on this, needling and testing for cracks. And yet this woman across from me, she doesn't crack. She gives a polite nod, nothing more, and the tension bleeds out of her like water that glides off stone. It's almost admirable. The dress is fine, more than fine. If anything, I shift in my seat. The way it fits around your waist and wrists. Inappropriate? No, but far from unnoticeable. Focus, Severus. You're not a schoolboy.
I hold Umbridge's gaze as she drones on. I am refusing to drop my expression. If she expects me to cower, she'll be sorely disappointed. I can feel Severus watching me still, quiet and unreadable, and Dumbledore's chuckle is hovering like a secret joke. Minerva looks as though she might scold me after dinner, and Remus, poor Remus, hasn't lifted his eyes from his teacup since. And I sit back in my chair, feigning calmness, though my blood still hums with the satisfaction of having ruffled her perfectly ironed feathers. Severus snorts softly, drawing a sharp look from Umbridge. That sound, amusement? Approval? Hard to tell with him.
I've seen seasoned auras squirm with less provocation, yet you sit there, calm, collected, and infuriatingly composed. You even have the gall to serve yourself spaghetti with grace, as if this table weren't a battlefield of subtle politics and sharpened words.
He's still watching me. I don't look back. Not yet. Let him stare. Let him try to figure me out. That's all this is. An assessment. I twirl another forkful of pasta, calm and controlled. I've been studied by worse than him. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious about him too.
You know I'm watching and still aren't intimidated. I want to know why. The tension simmers between us like a silent duel. Plates clink, conversation hums around the table, but I barely hear it. Umbridge prattles on about standards and propriety, but she might as well be croaking into a void.
I expect to see you in your classroom early tomorrow morning, Professor. I'll be conducting my inspection promptly at 9 a.m.
I'll be punctual.
Do try to stay calm tomorrow. She's particularly harsh on new teachers.
I swallow, forcing that faint nervousness down. and smothering it with a serene smile. My fingers curl around the stem of my glass as I take one last sip, letting the warmth settle me before I stand up. Thank you for the warning, Remus. I will retreat to my quarters, if you will excuse me. I have some bags to unpack. The scrape of my chair against the stone floor is soft, but in the sudden hush of the staff table, it echoes like a declaration. I feel their eyes on me as I walk away. My footsteps echo against the polished floor of the great hall as I step away, and relief is settling over me like a cloak as the distance grows.
I watch you leave. You move as though you own every step and every breath, deliberate and measured. But it's not arrogance. It's control, layers of it. And it is interesting, more than I care to admit. And I can't help wondering how long it would take to chip away that composure, or if it's even possible.
The great hall empties behind me as I step into the dim corridors. The torches flicker along the walls, throwing long, restless shadows across the cold stone floor. I take my time walking back. My heels are clicking softly, and my mind is tracing over every face at that table, every glance we exchanged, especially his. His gaze felt like a weight on my shoulders, not unkind, but not warm. Merlin, never warm, but sharp, like he'd catalogued every detail. And yet, there was something else, a flicker of curiosity? No. I shake my head, dismissing the thought. I make my way to my quarters. I was assigned rooms close enough to the dungeons to suit my taste for solitude, yet not within their cold depths. 3 wrong turns later, I finally find myself before my door again. I'm not frustrated for taking an involuntary detour. Instead, I savour every corridor, every archway, and every shadow that lingers in the corners, as though whispering secrets. Hogwarts breathes. It lives. And tonight, I feel its pulse. I push the door open, and warmth greets me immediately. The fire already crackles in the grate and is casting a gentle glow across my trunks that are stacked neatly by the bed. It feels welcoming, which is unexpected. Perhaps this castle does choose its own.
I picture you there, unpacking in that flickering firelight, and I wonder what secrets you keep locked away. Hogwarts has a way of revealing such things eventually, and I almost look forward to it.
I slip off my cloak and drape it across the armchair, then kneel to open one of my trunks. Tomorrow I will face her, the Ministry's little tyrant. Let her dig her claws. She will not break me. She will find no cracks to exploit. I glance toward the fire. Its flames are dancing and casting faint patterns across the floor. I sit a while by the fireplace, reading. For tonight, I allow myself this rare peace before I turn to bed. The darkness seems to embrace me, a familiar comfort after years of keeping secrets, one that they hopefully never find out.